Hello and welcome to my channel Inspiring Life Changes. My name is Colette and I'm here today to do a reading for the new moon that is taking place in Libra. It's happened at 13 degrees and 13 degrees 24 minutes, and it happened today in the UK at 12 hours midday 4 minutes past midday. So this reading is going to be a little bit different because normally I write everything down. If you watch my astrology videos, you will know that I normally have everything written and I will read from the script that I have written out already. But I've got a bit of a problem with that because I've been kind of thinking about maybe I should do more spontaneous readings. And then my cat went and sat on my keyboard and she's done something to it that I'm not quite sure exactly what it is she's done, but she seems to have managed to slow down the whole process of actually getting the keyboard to work. So I can't do double letters and I can't backspace. If I make a mistake, it takes a long time. So I'm kind of just giving up on that at the moment. I am going to carry on writing it just so that I can have it up on my blog for my own personal reasons, but the actual reading today that I will be doing is the astrology part. It's the first video that we'll be putting out there, and it's going to be more of a kind of winging it kind of style, if you like. So the new moon always happens when the sun and the moon come together, so they are conjunct in the sky, and this is happening in Libra, as I was saying, 13 degrees and 24 minutes of Libra. And what's interesting and really powerful about this new moon as well, if you've got any places, like if you've got any planets or any points between those degrees of 8 and 18 points of Libra, you're going to feel the intensity of this new moon that is taking place as well. Another reason for that is the fact that we have at the same time Mars is right next to this energy as well. So Mars is also conjunct the moon and the sun, so it's adding its own dynamic to that. Mars is our personal inner warrior energy. And another interesting thing that is taking place here is the the opposition with Chiron, who is actually in Aries at this time and has been for a long time. It's at 10 degrees and 31 minutes at this time. So it's opposing the sun, it's opposing Mars, it's also opposing the moon, and of course we also have that hidden energy of Make there as well. So that's 4 energies that are all opposing this Chiron energy. Most of these energies are masculine energy, the sun and Mars being the kind of very active element of our personalities, the doing, the dynamic, the fire element. The sun is ruled by Leo, so it's about courage and driving force. The spirit is kind of like how it's represented. And Mars, of course, as I was saying, is that inner warrior energy as well. So it's all kind of being charged up in this Libra energy, this Libra 7th house energy of relationships, and also justice, fairness, balance, equality, peace and harmony. It's like needing all of these things at this time. And with this opposition to Chiron, there is a massive healing that is taking place. And it feels very much still that it is to do with this masculine energy, which I've spoken about before, and also spoken about how it's kind of being labelled as toxic energy in the mainstream idea of the masculine energy at the moment, how it talks about this toxic energy of this Mars, which is to do with the fact that Chiron is going through that house. Chiron is healing that process, healing the masculine within us, whether that is the male or the female. We all have that masculine energy. Some have more than others, but we all have masculine energy as well as we all have that feminine energy as well. It's the recognition of that that is going to make the big difference eventually on this planet. Rather than the separation of it, it's the bringing it together and knowing that it is there but within all of us on some level. And also with this Libra energy of this trio of energies, and I will also add Make to that as well, the creation god, the Polynesian creation god, who is also known as the universal law bringer as well. Like, he works from a higher dimension, a fifth dimensional influence and frequency of the universal laws, as opposed to the human man-made laws, which we are all kind of feeling at this time very strongly. And partly that is also because we have Saturn in Aquarius, which is the collective, the people. We are feeling that it's the restriction, the keeping things controlled by the powers that kind of have that established power seat, if you like, over us, which has a lot to do with the Capricorn energy, and Pluto in Capricorn. Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn as well, so that's how that kind of influences us so strongly. But at this time of this new moon, sorry, what we have really, what I find really interesting is this whole air dynamic that's going on at this time. We have this air trine, which has been there since about the 27th of August, so we've had it right the way through September. Kind of the planets that were involved have changed, so the energy itself has changed as well. Mercury was there at some point. We now have Mars there. Venus was there as well, so it started off with a Venus kind of energy that moved into the Mercury energy and then moved through. Now we've got the Mars energy, which is a part of this as well. And the trine itself is being made with that Libra energy connecting to the Saturn energy in Aquarius, which is also connecting to the North Node and Black Moon Lilith, who are both sitting in Gemini. And North Node's at about 4 degrees now, 4 degrees 6, and Black Moon Lilith is at 8 degrees 52. So she's almost at 9 degrees, but hasn't quite reached that point yet. But we have the Sun, the Moon and Mars all at 13 degrees during this Libra new moon as well. So if you do have anything at that 13 degree point, you will definitely be feeling it, as you will also be feeling it if you've got anything at the same degrees, the 8 to 18 degrees of Aries, as well as Cancer and Capricorn, because this is cardinal energy as well. The new moon is in Libra, a cardinal sign, which is all about initiation. And actually I will kind of bring in the cards because I forgot to do these as well. So we have this new moon in Libra energy, which is saying a new romantic cycle is beginning, because 7th house is about romance. It's about our personal relationships, our intimate relationships. The new moon energy itself is about a new start, something being planted, a new intention, a new idea, planting the seed for something new. And the cardinal moon is about action. It's about being bold. It's about taking action, doing something to achieve what it is that you want to achieve. So we're coming out of that kind of more mutable energy that we've been in for quite some time, which is much more changeable and fluctuating energy, and we're moving into this much more kind of doing dynamic energy. Libra is is the second air sign in the zodiac, and as saying, it relates to our personal relationships. But we also have in Libra at this time, which is another major player through October, up until October the 18th, we have Mercury sitting in Libra as well, retrograde. So Mercury's about to go back over the energy where he has just been. And when Mercury does this, it can often bring back, especially in the sign of Libra, it can often bring back partnerships or relationships that have been in our lives for a while, or have been split up, or it's like something unexpected can just kind of return with Mercury in Libra, which is to do with a relationship. If you haven't kind of brought something to an ending or a closing, or if you haven't had some form of closure or finality on that level as well, that can also be the reason why it needs to come back in, because you may feel as though you're needing to have something finalized here, especially as Pluto at this time is also square to the Mercury energy. Mercury at 20 degrees 18, Pluto is at 24 degrees 18 of Capricorn. Now interestingly, Pluto energy is very, very strong at this time as well. This whole idea of endings, the whole idea of kind of something ending, rebirth, finality, is very powerful, because Pluto has just reached its station direct, which happened this morning in the UK at 1 o'clock in the morning. So about 11 hours prior to this new moon, Pluto has just stationed direct, which means he will be standing still in the sky for a while, for the next couple of days, for about 48 hours before he begins to actually start moving forward again. So during that time, that energy is really magnified quite strongly, and Pluto is connecting to Neptune still, with that sextile that has been ongoing for a long time and will continue to be ongoing, because they are both slow moving planets. And that sextile, for me, it kind of brings in that energy of the unknown, but also of the kind of what's hidden behind that veil. And as I was saying, this Pluto energy is so powerfully strong in our lives at the moment. Again, I have to be really careful about how I say things and what I say, because of what happens on this channel. There's certain things that you cannot say without it getting flagged up. But the main themes of Pluto are to do with death, transformation, rebirth. So that rebirthing, transformational energy of something coming out of the old, of something having to end in order for something new to be born. The Neptune energy is very confusing energy, or it can be very confusing energy. It can also be very like a higher understanding of unconditional love energy as well, which is also something that I feel is very strongly being placed or played out with this Libra energy. Healing with this Chiron energy as well, is that it's almost like we're going into this state of understanding this unconditional love for ourselves, but also understanding it from another person's point of view, so that we're no longer coming from this like with Venus, it's kind of a much more physical relationship related energy, shall we say, like Venus attraction and values within our relations, who we choose to be in a relationship with and why we choose that energy, etc., which all has another deeper level to it as well. But with the Neptune energy, and the reason that I'm bringing this in is also because we have recently had Neptune sextile to Neptune has been square to the Venus energy as well. Venus is at 28, sorry, not square, trining, because Venus is at 28 degrees of Scorpio, so she's at the kind of very end of the Scorpio energy sign, almost the anoretic, almost that very kind of critical, dangerous kind of degree point very karmic, very destiny kind of energy. And so we've had on one side, we've had and still have got Venus sextile to Pluto, and on the other side we have had Neptune sextile to Pluto. And I talked about this in the video that I put out recently, the last video that I put out. I spoke about this energy with the mystical rectangle and the 3 kites and the grand air trine that we're still experiencing. So Neptune has been connecting with Venus, and Venus, like I was saying, is the lower, more kind of base physical energy, whereas Neptune is more the higher, unconditional compassion, learning to empathize and to really kind of to see other people's suffering as a as more of a, how can you put it, like to be able to empathize, to be able to connect with that person's suffering, and to not see it in a negative viewpoint as them having done something that they shouldn't have done, if you like, but seeing it more from a sense of like, you know, we're all in this together. This is like this energy of like, you know, we all go through, this is why we're here, we all have to go through suffering on some level. It's all learning experiences and growth experiences, which is also another Pluto energy as well, that evolutionary growth, which is where we are being pushed at this time as well, into this evolutionary growth. And we also have a kite energy here still as well. So we still have the kite energy with the Chiron energy as that point, as that kind of releasing point. So from the grand trine of Libra and Gemini and Saturn in Aquarius, we have the kite energy from Saturn to Chiron, and from Black Moon Lilith to Chiron as well. So there's also a healing aspect going on with this, both sides of these sextiles as well, being brought into this kind of focus point of this Chiron energy. And Saturn, of course, is the older kind of idea of the energy. For me, I always see Saturn as the kind of Victorian father, if you like, or the grandfather kind of figure, very stern, very kind of rules and regulations, and but he is also connecting to the Make energy at the moment through this trine in energy as well. And Saturn is also about to slow right down in the sky. He's getting ready to go station direct on the 11th, I believe it is. And he is then going to be followed by Jupiter, which will be doing the same thing on the 18th. So we've got these 3 major planets, Pluto, Saturn and Jupiter, all getting ready to station. Well, Pluto already has stationed, but the 3 of them at the very beginning of October, which is kind of like a turning point. We're going to really see a shift of energy. But a lot of this is about communication with this grand air trine in the air signs, and all of this air energy, because at the other end of Libra we've also got Haumea as well, who is the Hawaiian goddess of creation. So we've got the masculine god of creation at the beginning of Libra, and at the end of Libra we have the female creation goddess, both from that higher kind of 5D vibrational aspect. And Haumea is connecting with Eris in Aries. She's still opposing the Eris energy, which is still helping to form a T-square with Pluto as well. So once again, that Pluto energy is being really kind of emphasized, although this is kind of behind the scenes. So not many people are aware of this because the Mia energy and the Eris energy is not really spoken about that much. Eris being the goddess of discord and disharmony and strife. It's Eris that is having us kind of out there at this time, kind of wanting, again, kind of equality, wanting things to be fair, wanting things to be just. She is the female warrioress energy. She doesn't like the fact that the female energy itself, if you like, has been oppressed and has been kept down for so long. So there is this uprising that is coming. There is this return of this feminine energy. And a lot of this is coming through these kind of changes within the masculine dynamic as well, which are taking place because of this healing energy of Chiron. And also because of Pluto, again, that dying energy. Something is dying here, something is ending, it has completed. And Pluto, of course, is in the sign of Capricorn. Establishment, rules, regulations, governmental systems, all of that is coming down. It's like it is collapsing, it is crumbling right now in front of our eyes, but it's still kind of being propped up, if you like. So we haven't actually reached the point yet where it's all just kind of flattened or just kind of like rubble in a sense, but that is, we are getting to that point. Whether that's going to be before the end of the year or whether that's going to be into 1922 remains to be seen, but there is so much kind of going on behind the scenes at this time that is not being made obvious to us, and that is a lot to do with this behind the scenes astrology energy as well. So again, the air energy, coming back to the air energy, for me, data, information, communication on a personal level, because we've got the sun, the moon, Mars and Mercury, 4 of our own inner personal planets, all in the sign of Libra, our personal relationships. This is going to relate to that need to communicate, to express, to also heal something within ourselves, whether that is going to be with another person or whether that is just going to be us healing that part of ourselves that has been wounded. And it can be something that is generational as well when it involves Chiron. This can be generational. It can be something that we've brought in with us for those of us who believe in reincarnation. It can be something that we bring through with us that we have to kind of learn, or there's a lesson there for us to heal maybe this lifetime as well. But the Chiron energy can also talk about like wounds from our childhood as well, because that's kind of where a lot of our trauma begins. So, and we carry that through and we carry it into our relationships, because our parents or the person who brings us up as children are our role models, and we kind of take all of that information in, whether we realize it or not. We kind of pick up on it on a subconscious, kind of psychic, intuitive level, and it kind of like sponges, we soak it all up and it becomes part of our personality, even if it isn't our stuff, if you like, even if it isn't our actual who we're meant to be. And that's what I feel that we're at this point, at this time, where we're having to release all this stuff so that we can actually get down to the person that we are and the person that we came here to be on this planet, to do whatever it is that we need to do without all the kind of baggage that we've been carrying. Again, that can be generational. The Chinese, I've spoken about this before, the Chinese say that if you change a pattern or a habit, or you release that energy, you change it 7 generations from the past and 7 generations into your future. So that's like 14 generations, which is massive. So it's like saying that 7 generations into the future no longer have to carry that 7 generations from the past baggage. It's like that history is done, it's gone, you've released it. And that is kind of where I feel that we are at collectively as well at this time as individually. It is this clearing out, this healing, this releasing of old stories of how masculine energies has to be like this or feminine energy has to be like this. It's like a whole new understanding, which is where I feel this unconditional love is coming in as well. It's kind of seeing it from a higher vantage point of no longer seeing it just as the masculine energy within the masculine form, and the same for the feminine as well, but just understanding that it is energy. It's energy, it's just there. It does have certain ways of being, like the masculine energy is much more dynamic, it is much more active and much more doing. The feminine energy is much more about passive, receptive, nurturing. So that's kind of, I feel, where we're needing to kind of channel and focus our energy at this time for ourselves as well. You're kind of looking into the expectations maybe of what we have from our relationships and why we expect somebody to be the way that we think they should be, or act how we've been told that this certain gender should act or not act. Especially with this Aries energy as well, connecting to Pluto and Humia. It's a whole new dimensional rebirth energy there as well. So once more, coming back to this air energy, I do feel that it is the major dominating energy at this time. We have, like I was saying, we've got 5 energies in Libra alone at this time, all in air, and then we've got another 2 in Aquarius, because we've got both Saturn and Jupiter, and Jupiter is also trining the Sun and the Moon at this time as well. So Jupiter is magnifying all of that Sun, Moon, masculine, feminine, harmony, balance, injustice, fairness, the need for peace and harmony in the world as well, because the Moon and the Sun very much connect. The Moon, our emotions, very much connected to the kind of collective world energy in that sense, and also because it's the cardinal sign. Anything to do with the cardinal signs kind of is the world stage as well, so that's where we see it play out within a worldly expression. So we've got those 5, and then we've got the 2 energies in Aquarius, and then we've also got the 2 energies in Gemini of the Black Moon Lilith and the North Node as well. The Black Moon Lilith energy is still playing out very strongly. The rage, the outpouring of anger, righteous rage, everything that we're kind of seeing that is going on when it comes to this medical procedure, if you like, and the way that this medical procedure is affecting especially the children, because Gemini is the sign of the children. It's the sign of school age to like college age, so late teens age, so anything to do with that age group is very Gemini based, and we are going to see big changes happening within the educational system and within all of that, like schooling, etc. More and more people are already turning to homeschooling, but the air energy itself is also about data and data collection, and how that is very much to do with the kind of war, if you like, that is taking place at this time, again on a different level. Information is knowledge, it is power. And another thing as well that I think is really important to talk about here is expression of words as well, and how the battle is also being played out there with the whole idea of censorship and certain words that are not allowed to be spoken or said that are disappearing at this time as well. There are certain words that are being flagged up. If you say them, then you're instantly put under this umbrella of being somebody who is dangerous to society, shall we say. And all of this is being done through the use of words. And I've often said that words are spells, words are powerful, they are emotive, and that is how they work. They work through the emotions. But words, of course, are communication. They are the way we express, they are how we teach, how we understand is through words, which is why we have to name everything, so otherwise nobody would really know what we were saying. If everybody had a different word for a different everything, then we would all be very confused all the time. So it's like these data analysts, if you like, who are able to kind of to pick out these certain words that if they're written or if they're said, or it's like everything is being kind of really highlighted at this time with this air energy. There's so much, they're saying so much air energy that is really the focus of our attention at this time, and we need to be very careful that we don't allow this to be used against us, which it already in many ways is, the whole thing that we went through, because words can also drive fear. They can drive us to do things that we necessarily wouldn't do before, and there is that whole element going on at this time as well, this kind of fear element of we have to do this, we have to behave like this, we have to. And at the same time, there are people who are kind of trying to stand up against this and kind of put their viewpoint across. And I've also said this before as well, when it comes to the establishment media, there is going to be a big fall off. There already is a big fall off, a big drop off from the established media, where people are turning away more and more because they're seeing the Neptunian energy as well of deceit and like things being hidden behind the veil, things not being real, of it all being like some huge theatre, or like, you know, just this charade that they play out, and have had so much control over people's minds for so long that people have just kind of become trusting in the story that they're being told. But now, particularly with the Saturn and Uranus energy that we've been going through, where the old and the new, the establishment versus the incoming energy has been clashing for so long, this is going to start up again. We've had a reprieve from the Saturn-Uranus energy for quite some time, but Saturn and Uranus are going to start up again on the 18th, which is the same day as Jupiter is also going to station direct. So we will also be experiencing again that challenge of the old and the new coming into kind of conflict. Another square energy which will become exact for the last time in December. So we've had two exact squares between the Saturn and Uranus energy, and we are going to experience another one in December, but like I was saying, that they will actually meet up again, as Saturn has become or will become direct on the, I think it's the 11th, and Uranus is moving retrograde at this time as well, so they're going to meet up and kind of travel through the sky together. As Saturn is moving forward, Uranus is moving backwards, so they're going to connect in that square for a longer period of time until they become exact, and then Uranus will also turn direct in January, I think it is, and again they will continue through 1922, sorry, 1920, through 2022. I don't know where the 2022 came from there, but into 2022 as a squaring energy. So this is not going to be over for some time. It's still going to be this powerful energy between the two kind of biggest planets, if you like, who are actually father and son as well, which is an interesting mythology behind these two planets of Cronus, Saturn being the father time energy. Also, another thing with Saturn, he also represents the karmic energies as well. He is the father of karma, lord of karma. So it's also at this time, as we get to the end of this time, the kind of end of the Piscean age, we are also kind of working through these karmic debts, if you like, that we're having to kind of like, we can't escape it. It's like it's there. It's almost like we're being narrowed, almost like we're being kind of like yeah, like it's narrowing. So our options, if you like, are narrowing as well. So it's almost like we're having to go in a certain direction. We're being pushed into this certain direction at this time of the end of the Piscean era, as we're moving more into the Aquarian era. So we're having to burn through a lot of this karmic energy, which again I feel has to do with this healing process of the masculine and the feminine, and the stories that have previously come down through the decades of how the masculine and the feminine are portrayed as being very kind of separate energies, which again you can go back to the kind of Victorian era for that as well, of how we were put into, like, you know, the whole idea of pink for girls and blue for boys, and like you didn't mix the two. So personally I still think, and I've said this for a long time, that the Victorian era is still very, very strong within us. It's like an energy that we're having to still kind of pull ourselves out from and away from, because it had such a huge impact on the generations that came after that as well. It wasn't long after the Victorian era, of course, that we also had the Depression, and also the two world wars, and so all of that kind of energy has kind of lingered. It feels as though there's this kind of lingering still there, which really does need to be kind of cleared out. And I have spoken about this Second World War energy as well, and how with Uranus in Taurus we're kind of experiencing a very similar, it's not the same, but it is very similar energy that we are experiencing with the kind of I suppose the controlling aspect of being told what we can and what we can't do. Uranus is all about change, and Taurus does not like change, so there's this kind of conflict there immediately between the idea of changing something that, almost like, you know, if it's not broken, why do we need to fix it? But it is broken and we do need to fix it, so we do need to allow this energy to heal, which I feel is really the major player at this time, is this energy of healing, and allowing ourselves to move on from those stories, from those, again, stories, Gemini, writing, translation, all that kind of thing. It's all very Gemini energy, and the North Node is in Gemini at this time, so we're also moving towards that need to with the south node in Sagittarius, we're kind of like having to let go of the old stories, let go of the history, of what we think we know compared to what we may learn if we allow ourselves to move beyond where we have been so far, which is kind of the problem in many ways with the human race as well, is it gets stuck in this idea of like, this is how it is, this is how it's always going to be, this is how it's always been kind of idea. So we tend to trap ourselves within that limited view, which is very Saturn as well, limiting ourselves or being limited by others as well, particularly as Saturn is also connecting with this Gemini energy, with Black Moon, Lilith and the North Node. But interestingly, of course, we have just recently all experienced, especially those on social media, we've all experienced this kind of like lack of having that social media there for a while. It was like it disappeared out of our lives. And it turns out that there's been a lot of data which has been deleted. Now this data may well have been deleted for a reason. It may be that there is stuff there that is needing, or that they were needing to get rid of. What the actual story is behind that is still unclear, but again, it's to do with data, so it's to do with information, it's to do with information of the people. And data is something that is being sold all the time. Your information is no longer your own or our own. It's being allowed to be manipulated and used and abused against us, so that it all comes back down to kind of power and control on that level again as well. And this amount of air energy is very intellectual as well, because air is to do with the mind. So it's a very kind of intellectual thing, an intelligence thing, intelligence gathering, knowing as much about an individual as these intelligence gatherers want to know, in order to know every detail of our lives. And that's what I really feel that is really strong at this time as well. It's like people are beginning to kind of to wake up to that fact, to wake up to the realization that this is what's been going on, and this is what continues to go on behind the scenes with our established kind of governance, if you like, those people who we thought we could trust. And a lot of people are waking up to the fact that we can't trust these people because they don't have our best interests at heart. They are literally just out for what they can get for their own power. Again, very Pluto energy. But that power shift is occurring. It is happening. Like I said in my previous video, which I think I've called something like the inversion of the pyramid, because that is what is taking place at this time. Even though it doesn't appear like it, even though if we look around, it still feels very much as though the people are not in control here, or we are still very much being not just controlled, but kind of being manipulated into doing things that we don't necessarily want to do, again through our emotions, through our ideas of the use of words. So this new moon, I feel, is really about understanding something on that deeper level. As the moon is also, as she moves forward, the moon is also going to connect with this Pluto energy. So the moon is going to pass over the top of the sun. She's going to pass over the top of Mars, and she's going to pass over the top of Mercury. and at the same time she is going to be connecting with Pluto as well. The moon is our emotions, so we are going to experience something very powerful and very strong here, which could come as a release, like a need to release something really powerful within our own beings at this time as well. Another interesting thing as well is that the moon, not the moon, sorry, the sun and Mars are also going to conjunct exact. I believe that's on the 11th. Let me just check that out. Where are we? So the moon and Mars at the time, not the moon, sorry, sun and Mars are going to be, oh, that's no good. Let me just change that and just move that ahead a day. Yeah, Mars is at 1446, Sun is at 1436, and that's on the 7th. So just move that forward. 1450, 1455. So it could well be on the 8th. So yeah, 2 days after this new moon, the Sun and Mars are going to become conjunct as well on the 8th of October, which is going to be a really powerful, intense, if you think of the Sun, the big, massive, pulsating fire energy in the sky, is going to be exact with Mars, another fiery, dynamic, headstrong energy. There is going to be like a real powerful, try to find exactly, I think they're exact at about 15 degrees. It's about 15 degrees, so it's like halfway through Libra as well that this is going to take place. I think it's about 15 degrees 1 or something. Maybe 15 degrees 3. Sorry about this. I should have written it all down, but I've been doing other things elsewhere. So it's around about 15, it's at the 15 degree point of Libra, so it is literally halfway through, which again is really interesting because it is balance that we're talking about here. Libra being the sign of balance, and it is still opposing that Chiron energy as well. Both Mars and the Sun are still opposing Chiron. We still have that kite energy with Chiron as that head point. So I really feel as though something really powerful is going to be released. It's going to be like a massive healing, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be something that feels good to us necessarily to start with. I think it's going to have a beneficial effect on us, but it doesn't necessarily mean that when it first takes place that it's going to feel like it's a beneficial act, shall we say. Especially to those who don't really understand what's going on a deeper level. They could react very differently. There could be an outpouring of a lot of anger and a lot of angst and a lot of furious misunderstanding as well, I feel. But it will eventually be seen as being a much more positive, like once all the emotion has been released here as well. Because at the time we also have the moon square to Saturn as well, so it feels like something old is going to be emotionally released here. Saturn is still just trining Mars and the Sun, who are also conjunct to Mercury as well at this time. And they are both also connecting to Pluto as well. So something really very major is about to take place. And the moon is also opposing, because the moon by now has moved into Scorpio. And so she is also opposing Uranus as well, which is all about that change. So something very, very unexpected, very sudden, very big is about to be released, I feel. On kind of like a spontaneous, unexpected way. Something that we're not necessarily going to see as beneficial initially. Although we do have Jupiter there as well. Jupiter is also trining moon and, not the moon, sorry, Sun and Mars. I keep saying moon because it's a new moon reading, so I've got the moon stuck in my head at the moment, but it's trining Mars and the Sun. So whatever this is about, it's also going to be magnified as well. And because it's in Aquarius, it is going to be the collective that is going to be affected here as well. Now we are really going to feel this. Whatever this is, it's going to be very powerful. And this could be from the 8th moving forward. Because of this connection with the moon, not the moon, with Mars and the Sun. And then of course we also have Mercury, so also communication as well is involved here, as it is right the way through. Again, this air, this expression, this outward pouring of something. And it feels as though it can't kind of be held back, it can't be held down, it has to come out. And there's something else as well. Oh yeah, Mercury. Mercury is just about to Cazimi over the Sun as well. So that's going to take place, I think, on the 10th, possibly. So the Sun, on the 10th, we actually, on the 9th, we have Mars at 15 degrees, the Sun at 16 degrees, and Mercury at 17 degrees as well. So again, there's this kind of real combination of that need to talk, that need to, and this could be something that's going to, I feel it's also going to affect our media, our established media. And there will be a real kind of turnaround here, turnaround point, like something is going to have to break here. And Mars is going to Cazimi over the Sun, which means Mars is going to go across the heart of the Sun. And that's going to happen on the 9th at 16 degrees. In fact, they're all going to be 16 degrees. So on the 9th, we've got Mars, Sun and Mercury, all 16 degrees as well. So again, this is a continuing energy which we are going to experience over that period of time. And of course, we also have Venus just coming out of the last... Oh, that's interesting. We have Venus who's just come out of the last degree of Scorpio, and the moon is just about to hit that same degree that Venus has just left, that 29 degrees of Scorpio. Scorpio being the sign of Pluto's home sign, birth, death, rebirth, real kind of dragging up all the emotional issues that we kind of tend to bury into our subconscious. It's like the subconscious, almost like the dustbin in a way, the emotional dustbin Scorpio can be, where we just kind of bury it all deep down until something like Mercury or Venus goes in there and kind of brings it all back to the surface. And Mercury is also, once he goes direct, he's also going to go back through or go into Scorpio and kind of highlight this energy again of what Venus has been kind of bringing up to the surface, which again at the same time with Venus going through Scorpio, as at the same time as we are having this new moon energy, all about our relationships and all about the masculine and the feminine, the balance, the unfairness, the injustices, all these wrongs that need to be put right, basically. The moon, our emotions, is also hitting that same degree of Scorpio, so it's kind of bringing it back up, re-feeling those emotional aspects. At the same time, she's also going to be opposing the energy of the North Node and Black Moon Lilith as well. And these are both her own nodes, or the node, because she's also conjunct the South Node as well, as is Venus at this time. So Venus is also conjunct the South Node, which again is this kind of energy of needing to let this go, needing to let go of our kind of the ideal of what something is, as opposed to the reality of what something is, or the truth of what something is. It's almost like Black Moon Lilith is going to be showing the reality, the realness of something, whereas Venus is kind of showing it from a kind of the ideal. It's like if you think of it the way that you want it, the way you would like it to be, in some way kind of projecting what it is that we want, is how I see this Venus energy with the moon, because the moon is also, can be about confusion, can be about kind of keeping things hidden or secretive, or again I get this sense of kind of idealism, especially as they are both kind of trining Neptune as well. So it's almost like a fantasy, almost like the fantasy versing the reality here, is what I'm seeing with this energy. So that's on the 9th. So it is almost like a big, kind of feels like a big slap in the face in a way, of like, this is the reality versus what you want or think that it should be, or how you kind of have fantasized the reality to be. But those I feel are the major kind of energy points that we're dealing with at this time. Of course, I was saying we also have Saturn that's about to go direct, station direct on the 10th, I think it is. Let me just have a quick look. Could be the 11th. Followed by Pluto. Not Pluto, followed by Jupiter, which is going to take place on the 18th. So, I'm just laughing because I have a feeling that Saturn is actually going to turn direct, station direct at exactly the same time as Pluto did. I could be wrong. So Saturn stationed, or maybe not, maybe it's an hour. No, maybe about. I just find it fascinating how all these planets seem to follow in the same cycle of time. So 1 o'clock in the morning. Let's just have a quick look, see if it's already stationed. No, there we go. So midnight and 59 minutes, so 1 minute to 1. It hasn't stationed, and there it is, 1 o'clock in the morning. Saturn stations on the 11th, same time as Pluto. So what that's about, I have no idea. And I think Jupiter might well be doing the same thing as well a week later. We can just have a quick look. I just find it fascinating how they all seem to do this at the same time. And of course Mercury stations on the same day as Jupiter as well, so there is going to be again an emphasis on this really powerful need for communication. We still have the air trine there, we still have the kite energy. Chiron is still the major release point for that kite energy, the kite of course being the destiny energy. So let's just have a look and see. Again, 12:59. Go forward a minute. And yeah, Jupiter has stationed 1 o'clock in the morning. And if I'm not mistaken, I could be mistaken here, but Mercury does exactly the same thing. It's insane. It really is insane. So basically all of these planets who are retrograde at the moment are going to station direct at 1 o'clock in the morning, and Jupiter and Mercury station together at 1 o'clock in the morning UK time on the 18th of October. And at that time Mercury is going to be 10 degrees of Libra. So once more Mercury is going to be connecting with Make, that higher 5D energy, bringing in that energy once more in a really kind of positive, communicative, universal law energy. It's like universal law versing, this is how I see it, versing the man-made restrictive laws that we have lived under for a long time now. It's like this Make energy is being brought through. We are being made more kind of aware of it as people are beginning to wake up to what's known as kind of common law. I see it more as a universal law, as in it is the law of the universe. There are certain laws of the universe that you cannot deny, and everything else is man-made. everything else, all the rest of it, everything else that we live under on this planet have been made by man to restrict and control and to enslave in many, many ways. So Mercury is going to be connecting to Hermia. Mars and the Sun are still connecting, still conjunct on the 18th. The Moon and Neptune are conjunct as well. And the Sun and Mars are both square to the Pluto energy. So this continuing idea of transformation and change of power as well. It's like the shifting of the power. It is happening. The power is shifting. It's just that the more it shifts and the more it kind of moves away from them, the more they're kind of holding onto it, grabbing onto it, and trying to kind of keep things, the status quo, if you like, in place, because that's how they maintain control. But there is something that is either has happened or is happening at this time, which is going to change the dynamics here. Especially as we also have Mars and the Sun trining Jupiter as well. And the Sun will have just been exact with that Jupiter energy, which is very positive, very yeah, very positive, very optimistic, very full of hope and seeing things clearly. Magnifying that energy, of course, even more so because Jupiter will have also just stationed. So that is where I'm going to leave the astrology reading. I hope that it has been interesting. I hope that you've got something from it. I hope that you've that it hasn't been too here, there and everywhere. As I was saying earlier, I have kind of winged it because I didn't get around to writing it all down this time. So it's been interesting for me as well to just kind of sit here and look at the astrology and say, right, okay, so what's happening here and why is this, what can we expect overall? But overall, I do feel that a lot of it is to do with communication. A lot of it is to do with our, and as I say that, we get the Mercury card. Keepers of the Light cards that I'm reading from here. Mercury, open communication, literally just came out. So it says, get a weight off your chest, speak up with love and be heard, which is kind of what I have been saying is the thing at this time, is communication is big. It came out in reverse as well. And when a card comes out, or these cards come out in reverse, it means that there is a kind of extra message here. So it is to be kind of really emphasized as being an important energy that we really do need to take notice of. So it's saying Mercury is the Roman god of messages and communications. In Greek mythology, he is known as Hermes. He is, pardon me, he has often been depicted with wings on his feet, representing his capacity to be swift and carrying a caduceus, which is this emblem here, this symbol, which is also said to represent the DNA as well, the spiral, and also the fact that everything spirals, all energy is spiral, and that we're forever moving upwards in this spiral energy. The caduceus is the same healing wand that Archangel Raphael is known to carry, As well as overseeing communication, he oversees the planet Mercury. When this goes retrograde, which it literally has, which means it appears to go backwards when seen from the Earth, communication can be delayed or difficult. We can call on Mercury for help with loving, honest and open conversations. Divination and any form of expressive art such as writing, poetry and journalism. He can also help us heal miscommunications that have caused distress. So the extended message here is open all levels of communications. Now, important messages, information and insights are being shared. You may hear from an old friend or family member or have an opportunity to finally understand a loved one you've not had an easy time with. You may be able to clarify situations where you feel you weren't heard properly or were misunderstood. Get things off your chest in a loving way so that you can clear all the roads to love in your life. Listen to communication. Listen to. Communication is a two-way street. Mercury is here now to allow you to hear clearly and be heard. So, very interesting. Mercury, communication, data, information, all of that stuff is really, really important at this time. Expressing how you feel is really important at this time. So with that, I'm going to say thank you very much for listening to my video on communication, and hopefully, like I said, you have learned something from it. It has benefited you in some way, that you may want to like it for me, please. If you can thumbs it up, that really helps me. It helps to get more attention on my channel and on the messages that I'm putting out. YouTube likes thumbs. It likes to know that people are watching the videos, and then it's more likely to actually kind of pick it up with its own algorithms, and it can also then get recommended on other people's channels as well, and people are more likely to watch something that is recommended. So the more likes I get, the more subscriptions as well I get, is a real huge help for growing my channel. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please could you also do that. I do all the full moon and new moon videos. I do all the sun sign videos as well. There is a playlist that you may want to go and check out. There are no times or dates on the sun sign videos. There is just titles so that you can just read, and if something jumps out at you, if it makes sense to you, if you watch it and you think, yes, that sounds like my story, then it's your video for the time that you're watching it, because time is irrelevant really. Things happen all the time, crap happens all the time, people go through experiences at different times, but it's still the same emotions that we can be feeling because of it. So if you haven't subscribed already, please do so. Also, for those of you who have subscribed and have liked my videos and have shared my videos, thank you very much. I really, really do appreciate it. And I really do thank you for being here on my channel and listening to what I have to say at this time as well. And with all that being said, I'm going to wish you the best and have a great Libra new moon and a interesting Mercury retrograde, because Mercury retrograde is always interesting, and even if it's infuriating at times, it's never dull. So enjoy, and hopefully I will see you on the next video, which I will be putting out, which will be the tarot part of my two-part video for the new moon. Thank you very much. Take care.